It's only got two. So,
What's going on? Welcome.
good evening.
It's Thursday, so that means it's Brother Empowerment Night.
You know it.
So we definitely want to say welcome for those if it's going to be your first time tuning in and watching what we have going on with Brother Empowerment, Love is a Parable. My name is Dwayne Garnett.
I am Cordell Gibson.
Right, and together we started this about, I was looking back on it and I was telling Cordell we started this about 5 months ago. 5 months ago we started this. We wanted something awesome to happen. And so we wanted to be in a place and have that opportunity to empower brothers.
Yep.
There are several things that we want to do. This is never designed to be one of those bashing of brother type platforms. This is actually about uplifting brothers and talking about things we normally don't talk about, but shining light on it in a new and interesting way. And it looks like our guest is on. So I want to check and see if we can pull her on real quick. Let's see.
Hello to everybody that's watching. While my brother is getting our guest on.
Let's see. There, receive.
That's about to be. Hey, Uncle Marcus.
Hey, Uncle Marcus.
What's going on?
Man, Uncle Marcus, I'm still messed up from last week. That is probably one of the ones that touched me the most. And I'm trying to figure out, like, I already wrote something about it, but I'm definitely grateful. If you guys didn't get a chance to actually see last week's, make sure that you get on and look at last week's message. We talked about neighborhood uncles.
Yep.
Definitely want to make sure you get on. Look at Malikia. Let me see.
I literally just pulled into my driveway.
Oh, okay. So this is real impromptu. Okay.
I told you
So
I'd be cutting it close.
Well, good. I'm glad that you're on, and I definitely do appreciate it. How did Solomon do tonight?
She did well. She ran her little heart out, and we took her out to dinner, and she is just ecstatic. She didn't win anything, but she doesn't know that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, sometimes it's not about winning or losing according to their system. Yeah. So we were just telling them about Brother Empowerment, but I'm glad that you were able to get on in time. So tell the people about you, because you do a lot of things, and then we'll come back. So tell people who you are.
So my name is Malikia Robertson. I am owner and operator of Yoga for Us. And our mission is just to demystify the practice of yoga, to educate people on what it is, and to strip away all of the mystery and misnomers and falsehoods about what yoga is, and to get our people involved in it in a holistic and consistent way.
Okay.
And here's the great thing about what I love about Malikia. We actually met Malikia. Cordell and I met her the same night.
That's correct.
At a round talk, table talk about gender inequality and some of the things that we don't realize that women actually go through.
Yep.
And then we were reconnected again at another talk with Perfectly Flawed, you know, and we had a great discussion there. And you said something that I hear few people say about expectation. But you also say a lot of things that go against what a lot of traditional women would say. It's almost like you're thinking from both sides, which is a rarity, and you own that truth. But you embrace it and you deliver it with such elegance that I often sit back and say, yeah, Malikia did that.
Wow. Okay.
Malikia did that. So I'm curious, because we haven't talked about this, like, how did you develop your identity your identity as the way you view life and the way you view others and yourself?
Wow, that's such a big question. Life experience. So let me just say this. I grew up surrounded by men. I had a dad in the house, an older brother in the house, and a host of uncles and male cousins. So of all of our cousins, there were 3 of us that were like I had immediate access to that were girls.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them were all knucklehead boys. So I grew up a lot with a lot of male energy, which I know shaped a lot of my thinking. I heard a lot of things that I probably wasn't supposed to be privy to as a woman. I got a lot of access to like locker room talk and real
Mm-hmm.
like what men talk about when we're not in the room. I was one of those children that was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was the seen and not heard type of child. So I got a lot of access to adult conversation that I wasn't supposed to have access to, because I knew how to sit in the corner and be quiet and people would forget that I was there. Um, and through life, I mean, I've been married for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that experience has taught me a lot. A
Congratulations
lot.
on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. And I honestly can just say through my yoga practice, it has really helped me to step outside of my Malika box
Mm-hmm.
in all things, and to really do a big job of taking other people's perspectives and having empathy and seeing myself in other people, even people that don't look like me, don't have my same background, and don't think
Mm-hmm.
like me, like to understand their perspectives and to come to the conclusion that my truth is not necessarily the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me this, because we talked about this before. What do you think? Do you think that this current generation or current era is moving towards men bashing more than it is about bringing education and awareness to certain things? Because a lot of brothers do feel that way, and I can honestly say, in some settings,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is introduced as if it's a widespread issue
Mm-hmm.
when it may be individual issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I sometimes, but I can discern when I'm like, okay, I can see that being a big thing, or I can see that being an individual thing. What do you think right now as it relates to brother empowerment? Do you feel like brothers are being empowered, or do you feel like they're being basically bashed right now?
It really depends on where you focus your energy. So I don't feel that brothers are being empowered enough in terms of their humanity. You know, like I think men are empowered in their masculinity and their manness, but they're
Would you
not
stop?
getting.
Would you explain that? Like when you say men are empowered in their masculinity, what that mean? What does that mean?
I feel like the world really puts a lot of energy into trying to teach men how to be men
Mm-hmm.
instead of trying to allow men to be just human. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Um, there's so much wrapped around the roles that you guys have to play, the jobs that you have to complete, and the task that you have as a man, that sometimes the world forgets that you are human
Mm-hmm.
first.
Yeah.
And so I feel as though what you guys are doing is bringing in a piece of reclaiming humanity for men, to allow them full range of emotion, allow men full range of how they feel and how they behave and how they act in the world. There is no set um, place that you have to be in as a man in order to be a man,
Okay.
and that you can be a full-blown human, and it doesn't have to be rolled up into this tight ball of your gender.
Right. Okay.
Um, So no, I don't feel that you guys are being empowered enough out in the world in the way that women are. I feel like there's this huge movement for female empowerment that men don't have. However, I feel that you guys have had a really long time to have that. It just, the moment wasn't seized. It was spent in pouring into your manliness instead of your humanity. Hold on. Yes, child.
That was actually pretty dope.
Yeah, that was, you know what I'm saying, family time.
Hey, Solomon.
Hello.
Go tell
Congratulations
Daddy.
on the track meet.
Yes, congrats on that.
What do you say? You can go have
You're welcome.
go to bed. Okay.
Well,
Right.
that's one of the things that we I think it's refreshing for us to hear from our sisters. And one of the things that you remind me a lot of Natanya, who actually was one of our guests before, and she's actually my sister in this thing. She said something very similar, but you always say things that stick around for a while. Like saying they've been invested in, say it one more time. They invested in
Their madness.
their madness, but not their humanity.
Yeah, that's big.
Oh,
That's big.
that's big. So now, here's the thing about that. Do you think that there are quote unquote different type, quote unquote, of men or masculinity? Like, do you think that there is a such thing as an alpha male or beta male, or do you think that these are things designed to either to overly masculate, to hyper masculate or emasculate? What are your thoughts about the beta male and the alpha male?
So I do feel that people have their own personalities, right?
Uh-huh.
I get the concept of alpha males and beta males and alpha females. And hold on.
Where's the cake?
The cake is in the refrigerator. Where is your father?
I
Where is your father?
He's upstairs on the couch. I just told.
Okay, go tell Daddy that I'm on a live and that he needs to get your cake and put you in the bed.
It's real out in these streets.
Yeah.
Parents do 101.
See? So that's what I'm talking about. Now, it's a whole group of men out there saying that she need to be getting out the car and go take care of the baby. Why is she asking where is the man at? The man is in the house. We share this 50-50. You know, we went and we did the extracurricular activities with her. Now I'm doing my thing. He's going to chip in and do his thing with putting her to bed. And there's not this give and pull of who's the alpha. Right. So yes, I understand that in any given relationship, one person is going to have a more dominant personality at times. But I will tell you this. Being the alpha at all times can be exhausting. And I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you always have to pull the wagon behind you, you are going to get tired. So I think we really need to spend our effort less in trying to figure out who's supposed to lead and figure out how can we be in a partnership. I don't want to be an alpha female. I have been accused as being one. I don't want to be an alpha female. And in different parts in our relationship, I have been in the lead. And I just say, hey, babe, I'm tired. He like, all right, I got you. And he takes the lead. And sometimes I have to like.
That's really.
He's in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
He's in the driver's seat. That's where you wanted him to be. Sit in the driver's seat and do what the driver's seat is supposed to do. Fix the radio station and look up the GPS. That's your job. Because if you wanted to drive, you should have gotten the driver's seat. Right. And so I feel like any alpha male or female also needs to learn the science of, or the finesse of giving up the ghost every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when people call men beta men, or they're trying to say that maybe they don't want to ever take the lead, but I don't really think most humans are built that way.
Yeah.
Most humans, when they are confident in a situation or in a subject matter, they will jump forward and take the reins when they see it needs to be done, unless they've been raised in a situation where they haven't been allowed the access of being in control. And I don't
I think
necessarily think that's that's alpha or beta. I think it's just on if you've had the opportunity to take the reins or not in your life experience.
I think you said it best when it me personally, I think alpha and beta male, I think are constructs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that they're constructs to kind of divide and conquer, if you will. And I also look at leadership the same way. In certain cultures, leadership is very linear.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think leadership is truly linear. I think it's circular because it's relational.
Right.
So like in our house, when my wife and I are leading, the shifting of gears, no one sits there and says, like in our house, like your turn to lead, okay, my turn, stop. You know, it just kind of flows the way that it does. And it's like, that's why I always laugh. Like I grew up in a single parent home, and I always laugh because I feel like my kids got it worse. Because we're like, well, what did your mama say? No, did you ask your mama specifically what you asked me? You know what I mean? And my wife would be like, well, what did your daddy say? And then we're going to go and check and say, did they tell you exactly what they told me? But we don't think about who's leading who's running who. It just evolves, and it does happen. And so when you think about an alpha male, I have been also accused of an alpha male, but by definition, I have a lot of attributes of a beta male because I'm extremely sensitive, and I do cry, and I'm emotional at times, you know, so it's like, I think we flow in and out, and I think it's a personality thing. Like, even when people start talking about how they were raised, I give a good example. Me and my brothers and me and my siblings, my sisters and my brothers, we all grew up in the same household, but a lot of us act totally different.
Completely different. And
so sometimes I think we make excuses for actions, so we either try to find labels or shift blame.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Alpha and beta male are definitely constructs. And I think that's definitely one of the things that caused a lot of damage with brothers or with men, because trying to be, because the beta male is looked down upon. He's looked at as, in some ways, feminine. So you have a lot of brothers who want to be the alpha male all the time. And you're right, it's tiring, it's exhausting, and it's damaging. And so and then as an alpha male, when you're supposed to be the leader, and when you're in a place of when you're not familiar, or you don't know, I think that even creates even more, because you don't know what to do, but you have to put on this facade that you're the alpha male and you're the leader. So it just creates this slippery slope. And going to what Malikia said about in relationships and marriage partnership, is that my mom and dad, they're both, my mom and dad are military personnel. My dad's retired, my mom is still active. So, and they both were high ranking, so they had people working under them, and they commanded respect. But what I also saw in their personal lives, that I saw that my mom necessarily wasn't, submissive all the time, or the beta, as you want to call it. My dad wasn't always the alpha leader all the time. Like the brother Jay said, it flowed, and it was very organic. In some ways, my dad would just say, hey, okay, you know what, you got it. My mom would say, okay, babe, you know what do you think? Or I need you to take, and so that's what I've been looking for myself. That's the example that I had, is I don't want to have a woman to say, I'm the leader in this house, I'm the man in this house, so I want a partnership, because I don't want to always be the one to have to do everything, make decisions, and have all on my shoulders. I don't want that. I never did.
I think if you have to label it, it's not authentic anyway.
Yeah, right.
If you got to come in here and say, I'm the head of this house, well, maybe you're not the head if you have to let everybody know.
Right.
But we gotta look at these comments real quick. We got Natanya who said she totally agrees with you. Men are human beings first. Let's be compassionate with our men. And then she told you, hey.
Hey, Natanya.
Hey, Natanya. And then she said, men express their masculinity in different ways. I express my femininity in a different way from another woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then Derek said teamwork when he was talking about you and parenting the household. He said that's teamwork. Become one. We got to have that mindset.
Yeah.
And then Court says she's listening. Keep going.
Hey, Courtney.
And then Derek said that you need both to thrive.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know how we do this. A lot of times we just go off of the questions that people throw at us.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've noticed, Malika, is that a lot of people who are viewing are looking for something deeper than just us answering questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about validation. It's not about really belonging as much as it's about, when we talk about empowerment, it's about giving something and them receiving something. What is something that that really frustrates you about this quote unquote battle of the sexes, which I call a civil social construct war, that you just really want us to just put to rest, stop bringing it up, and just move on from?
wow. What bother see, I'm gonna tell you like this. I have never, well, never is too strong of a word, but for a while I have not taken part of the idea that there is a battle of the sexes.
Mm-hmm.
I love men. I love my daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I love my uncles, my brothers. I have always felt protected and respected by men. Now, not to say that I haven't come across some ridiculous men, but I have the understanding that for every man that I come across that's low down, not a good representation of himself, he is not representing the whole. So just like I know all black men ain't blah, 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 or all women aren't da, 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 I know better. So if I had to answer that question, I guess here's the answer after all that talk, is the generalization. The sweeping all or even most is just too much for me. There are some good men out here that are doing amazing things, that are protecting their women and respecting us, and they're not perfect, but neither are we. And so I understand that a lot of women out here are experiencing these things with certain men. I get it, sis. But it's not everybody. It's not all of them. It really is not. And I know this because the people that I'm surrounding myself with don't move like that.
Yeah.
They don't talk like that.
No,
they don't disrespect. They don't make those types of disrespectful moves. They just don't. And so instead of making generalizations about a whole group of people, like a whole 50% of the population, just change how you interact, change who you interact with, change your circles. Maybe the men you hanging out with ain't the men you need to be hanging out with.
Yeah, no, that's
Maybe they need some big brothers, they need some big brothers. And if that's what they need, maybe do your part to help them find them while separating yourself from it. But to just say that all or most or y'all need to y'all pointing that generalization finger, that I don't like.
Yeah. I don't think we talk enough.
Now you talking about my daddy. Now you talking about my daddy.
Yeah, yeah. That's really real. I'm not a fan of generalizations at all, and I don't use them in my everyday or conversation at all. And painting with that broad brush is what degrades the conversation, in my opinion. Because now, like you said, you're talking about people that don't embody that, and some people have the mindset of, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Well, no. How about you change the verbiage and say exactly what you mean, so that you don't have to just say that. You shouldn't have to say, well, I'm gonna say this, but if it doesn't apply, let it fly. No, say exactly. I talk to the people who are talk to or about the folks that is really concerning, and don't just it's intellectually lazy, in my opinion, to just use a generalization or to paint that broad brush. You're being lazy, So, in my opinion, but I definitely agree with you all the way.
Well, let's jump into it. You got a couple of comments.
A lot of comments.
Yeah, we got a few comments. Court Love Bubbles said, say it one more time for the people in the background. I don't know which part that she was saying that to.
I think the whole thing, maybe.
And then Uncle Marcus said that right there. Thank you, sister. Don't put me in a box with the rest of them suckers.
Yeah.
And then as he was going on expressing more about that, he said bingo. And Derek said people just know their surroundings.
Yeah.
I will say the biggest thing that frustrates me is the lack of accountability.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, there are just some people who are just mean, evil people.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also a level of you may not be compatible with the person, which is causing that friction because it's forced.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the times when we're talking about male-female issues, it's always coming from a romantic standpoint. But what about those other levels of male-female interaction?
Right.
To be honest, I would like more people to really take ownership of the things that they're doing and the situations that they're putting themselves in, and really look at it from a bird's eye perspective and say, you know what, I kind of played a role in that, because we do. For most day-to-day interactions, we play a role.
Yeah.
Stalin is back.
Why are you not in the bed? Let me go see what's going on in this house. Go ahead, I'm listening.
But the other part that I want people to understand is that tradition is a form of progression.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You can have a tradition and still be progressive at the same time.
Yeah.
And for those who like traditional roles, that doesn't mean that they're less than.
Right.
You know?
Right. I'm very non-traditional.
We know.
As you can see. Can you see me?
Not really. There we go. We see.
There we go. So my husband doesn't realize that I'm on live TV. So let's just hope that he's got some clothes on.
Lord have mercy, please.
Let's hope that, okay?
But I think that we need to start having, like, when we have these discussions, I don't think enough people have self-reflection.
No.
And I don't think enough people are truly honest, will want to be honest with themselves, because it's easier to shift blame than to really sit down and have those conversations. Like, yes, maybe all of the people who have come in your life have been negative, but maybe you're a negative person too.
Yeah.
Right.
So one of the biggest pillars, I would say two of the biggest pillars for brother empowerment, especially for me, the first one being accountability and the other one being, being open. So, again, accountability and self-reflection to me go hand in hand, because a lot of things are a choice, being around those people that are familiar to you, but they are problematic in some sense, or keeping those connections with those people who embody all the stuff you don't like alive. Those are choices that you or we make as people. And so, right. Another one is being open. And so, like Brother said, accountability. If you're not open to being accountable or open to self-reflection, you cut off a part of the experience of really evaluating why these things are happening to you, or why you're having these experiences with other people.
I can give you a good example. I was connected to someone who always complained about their situation.
Mm-hmm.
But me outside looking in, saw that they was creating those situations. Like they would complain about their spouse overspending. They would complain about not having money, but they would always buy high-end stuff. And then whatever their spouse wanted, they would say, get it, get it, get it. But then complain about it. But then I also realized that this person would also create situations for this spouse to be dependent on them because they too had low self-esteem. And so there are some people who are in relationships who manipulate the victim on both sides, meaning they manipulate a person. Like somebody can manipulate you, Malika, into abusing me because being a victim causes me comfort.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that enough because a lot of people it's so easy to blame others. It is so easy to find, misery loves company. So it's so easy to find common denominators and common connectors and say, ooh, I'm experiencing the same thing, because one of the things that this person can buy you, like, you can't control your wife. She's the head of the house. She runs the house. That old saying. And it's like, well, this ain't the case. You telling her to do something, but then enabling her at the same time and complain about it.
Yeah.
And I feel as a brother, and empowering a brother is like, I feel like I'm supposed to call you out on your crap.
Exactly.
Be like, no, bro, you creating that situation, and it's not good for her or you or your children.
Yeah. And that's the thing about empowerment. I think people misconstrue what it is. People, when you go to these things and they say, oh, we're going to have an empowerment session, and people go in with the expectation that they are going to be championed and built up in a way that makes them feel good. But sometimes empowerment can come in the form of a chipping away of what you think or who you think you are. Because sometimes I have to take away and break down parts of you to reveal who you really are, so that you can really build your true self up. Because I'm not about building up that falsehood that you done wrapped around your identity. Like, I'm not doing that. So if you are enabling someone, if you are hindering someone that you're in a relationship with, whether it's your wife, your spouse, your coworker, your friend, I'm not going to be the one person that's saying, well, yeah, he or she got a problem, and I know you doing all the best you can. No, you're not. Here's how you're contributing, and let's talk about why you are making the decision to contribute, because it's something in you that needs that contribution to make that other person a victim. So let's talk about you. And that takes a lot of accountability and a lot of self-work that most people honestly don't want to do because it's ugly and it's dirty.
Yeah.
I think that it's our responsibility as a community too to call people out on it. I mean, we I had another friend that I was trying to figure out like why his wife was extremely jealous. And seemed like a good guy, faithful, all of those great things. And so I kept chipping away at like, well, why is she this way? He didn't tell until later, well, I kind of do flirt because, I like to see if I still have it, or I like to get certain things. It was like, bro, you're the reason she has insecurities.
You created this monster.
You created this monster, and just because you don't cheat doesn't mean that you can't have the illusion of cheating.
Right.
And so my big thing is I worked in behavioral health for a while, and I taught healthcare for a while. I hate mind games, and I hate when people manipulate people. Just like I hate when it goes everywhere. Like even we was talking about this, even in churches, I hate when pastors create a scenario for people to be codependent onto the pastor. Because you have a lot of insecure people. Well, I talked about this one time. When you have insecure people who get in positions of influence, that's a dangerous thing. Because what they do is manipulate the situation for people to be dependent on them because they receive validation through others' weaknesses.
Yep. Woo.
And so we as a community, when we see it, call people out on that and say, nah, you messing up this situation and you messing it up for all of us.
Yep.
I do see that culture growing.
You got some
I see
comments?
that culture growing. I was, let me just say this, and this is a very unpopular statement I'm about to make. It might not be, because culture is changing. There takes a certain level of narcissism or a certain level of self-indulgence to become that part, to take on that role. And this is, I'm not even going to separate myself from this, like your pastors, your healers, your yoga instructors, your motivational speakers, your life coaches, your people that are here to like help and heal. There is a certain level of self-indulgence that says, I am going to show you the way, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to lead you. And in order to do that kind of work, man, you got to be able to admit that. You got to be able to admit that shit in yourself, that it exists, and you have to check it at every turn. Otherwise, you will become abusive, or you will be taking advantage, and you will be indulging your own self-interest. You're going to turn around and have $1 billion mega church and ain't gave not one dime to anybody in the church except yourself. You're going to turn around and be a yoga instructor that has a room full of people, and you're not teaching them anything that they can take home and use to better themselves. They got to come to you to get it.
Yeah.
It's all in line. It's not that much of a difference. When you take on the role of trying to guide and help other people, you have to accept the fact that there's a part of you that has learned something, and you have taken a space or a stance of authority, that you think enough of yourself to consider yourself that authority to pass it on to other people. You have to be able to admit that, because if you can't, it'll catch up to you.
And I know exactly what you're saying, because in 2008, I stepped down from ministry because I saw that in my leader, and I saw traces of that in myself. And I said, I never want to be a person, one, that's a hypocrite, but I never want to be one that's a person that is manipulative. So from that, I have taken on a lot of my personal experiences and made sure that I don't reciprocate those experiences into other people's lives. For instance, one of the things that we teach about love is a parable is love is something that you give, but you have no obligation to take it. And I have no obligation to leave it with you either. And so basically it's an open thing for you. If you want it, if I give it to you, that's fine. If you don't want it, that's also fine. And if I don't want to give it to you, that's also fine. We don't believe in forcing anything. It's just like when people say you need to, when people say, well, Jay, tell us about love. You're the love advocate. I can't tell you about all those different types of love, but I can tell you about the ideology that Love is a Parable has regarding love. You can agree with it or not. That's your opinion, and you can take it, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. But we do have to call out that self-gratification type mindset, that we do receive some type of stimulant from lording over people, if you will. And we do need to call that junk out. You have some more comments.
Gang of them. So
Okay.
So Derek said the law of attraction. We were talking about interactions with people and such. Melissa said, I had to self-reflect after my last relationship because it ended so bad. I realized I allowed the toxicity because of my low self-esteem. That's powerful. So Kimberly Winborn said yes. Janine said right, self-inflicted drama. Derek said keep up the great work. We appreciate you, Derek. Marcus Johnson, or aka my Uncle Marcus. I think people get lost in relationships because they want to be needed They want to be wanted and needed so desperately, they will put up with anything to a certain degree and not even realize that it's happening. To them, any form of affection is better than none. And that's really real. Some people cannot be alone or be by themselves. So Melissa said very dangerous. Janine said, yes, that's narcissist abuse at its best when we were talking about the narcissistic behavior. She said it again, she said it twice. And then Court Love Bubble said, sis, whoever you are, I need to hear your voice tonight. You're touching souls and saving lives tonight. That's dope.
Don't you start crying on them.
Wow. Wait a minute, Court Love Bubbles.
Yeah.
Did you actually see my ego like do like this? What?
You so narcissistic.
Or my husband would say, you so vain, you so vain.
But you know what? On the flip side of that, we do think of narcissism only in a negative way, just like we only think about selfishness only in a negative way. Mm-hmm. And my brother came out with this painting when I was young in college, and it was called Selfish, to be more like self. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people forget that I have to be selfish in order to be selfless. Mm-hmm. If I don't get an opportunity to know myself and get to be with me and find the things that I like and dislike, how can I then be of service to you?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you have to take care of you before you can take care of anyone else. And we say often in Brother Empowerment, you as brothers, but we're talking to everybody right now, you should be your best self whenever you're interacting with someone else, especially in the committed relationship sense. You need to be your best self, or at least strive to be your best self.
No, be your best self. I think that we BS a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, we talk about that on several occasions, Malika, where I think you already know who you are. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, I'm not against going to go see a counselor. I'm not against seeing a life coach, advisor, mentor, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of those issues, a lot of that stuff we know. We just don't want to admit to it. And you need to be honest in saying, I know this, I just want to find a loophole. But a lot of people don't know how to be honest don't want to be honest. Because the honesty is there, the truth is there, whether you acknowledge it or not. But a lot of people don't want to admit the things that they're doing to keep this cycle going.
Yeah. Or they want to change it.
Frustrating. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Or they want to change it. They want to get around it somehow.
Yeah.
And listen, the faster you can accept the good and the bad, the beautiful and the ugly, the faster your growth will be. Do you know how many years I tried to get around being impatient and selfish? Because, you know, I just didn't want to do things the way many of my friends wanted to do things. I didn't want to do things the way my family wanted to. I just did not want to do it the way the majority wanted to do. I was selfish. I wanted to do it this particular way that felt good for me. It took me until adulthood to be like, wait a minute. Why is that selfish? Maybe I need to do it this way because that is my personal path. And once I get on my personal path, once I start listening to myself on what it is that feels good to me, I'll be happier.
Which means everybody else should be happy.
And then everybody else is happier. Everybody, because I don't have to try to fake the funk. I don't have to try to be who y'all are, or I don't need to be a certain person around you. I'm just gonna be me. And then I got used to like, oh, Malika, you know, she different. You know, she ain't gonna do it the way everybody should do it. So just let her do her thing. And once I got to the point where I could accept that, and now, even now, like the other day, somebody called me a gypsy, and one of my girlfriends that knew me since I was like 8 years old, and she was like, yeah, you've always been like that. You just try not to be. And now you're at a place in your life where you're just accepting that part of you instead of fighting it. And it looks good on you. And I was like, really? I've always been like this? She was like, yeah, that's why we're friends. Because I was always a weirdo. And I was like, yeah, you was always a weirdo. And I just thought you were the only weirdo. And she was like, nah, homie. You're a weirdo too, but the world is full of us. And that's what I had to come to the realization is one day, I'm gonna tell you this real story called kind of on topic but off topic. When I wanted to become a yoga instructor, I had already had entrepreneurial ventures and I had done various things in my life. And one of my male friends said to me, you know, I've watched you kind of morph into different people in the time that I've known you. But what made you really think that you could get Southern Black people to do yoga? Like what made you think that there were other people out there like you? And you know what I said to him? I said, one day I saw something online where there was a convention called furries. Y'all know what furries are?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay. So furries are people who like to dress up in full-blown like teddy bear costumes. Like they dress up. Yeah, it's like cosplay. They dress up like big rabbits and, you know, like furry animals, you know, like you put on your kid's bed. They dress up full-blown costumes, right? And they go and they cuddle and they just have fun together. Like, I don't know if it's romantic, if it's just for fun. I'm not real clear on it. But here's my point. There was one guy who said, you know what I would love to do? I would love to put on a big ass furry animal costume and go hang out with a couple of other people in big ass furry animal costumes and roll around together. And that one guy said, there's got to be another human being out there that wants to do it too. And there was enough human beings for there to be like a full-blown convention of furries.
Yep.
So that
I feel violated.
Huh?
I feel violated from this whole story.
But that lets me know that no matter how different or isolated or weird or unique you think you are in this world, it's a whole group of people out there just like you. We are not all that different.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to change and morph and be like everybody else or do what everybody thinks that you're supposed to be doing, to accept what you're feeling, accept it and move into it full force, and you will find your convention of furries.
No, that's
the word, and I actually agree with you because it's several things that you said. The very first thing I wanted to go back when you talked about self-love. One of the questions, I've been on several radio interviews and they say, well, what is your thing about, how do you feel about self-love and loving yourself first before you love anybody else? And you said the exact same thing, but in different words. Loving myself is loving everybody else. It's not something you do first and then, no, if I love myself, I love you. If I don't love myself, I can never love you. It's not one that happens before the other, they happen together.
Because it's the same
thing. The next thing you talked about is we were not created to conform. Because if we were created to conform, rebellion wouldn't be a thing. If we were created to always drive forward, reverse wouldn't be a thing. If we were able to always be an open door, locks wouldn't be a thing. We weren't created to do those things. Like the reason why laws were created because we were created to be free. And as soon as you have a definition for freedom, it's no longer freedom. And we have to stop getting in that place where we feel like we're wrong or it's wrong to please or acknowledge self.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement of self is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do for your overall self-maintenance. And if you rob yourself of the power of you, you will be hell on wheels for everybody that you are around.
That is word. That is word.
Shut up.
Let
Hey,
me
you got a deep one.
tap that heart. Tap that heart button a few more times.
Malika, I want you to address this court. Basically, self-disclosed. She said, this is a very deep, dark moment in my life. I battle daily with my dominant ways. I'm just at a point where I can't continue to live this way. It's hard, it's emotional, lonely, etc. It takes over you. It takes over your whole life. My job, my friendships, my relationships don't feel natural because of who I am. The battle to turn that around is hard, but I am learning, I'm living, I'm trying to let it go, to feel normal, to have some peace and happiness, to be in pure relief. Would you address that?
Oh man, that's
So my first question for court would be is, what does normal look like to you? You know, if you're looking for, if you want to feel normal, what does that look like? What does because your normal and my normal may very well be two different things. And so if you're in a place where you are truly being your authentic self, and it is colliding with your environment, then maybe the environment that you're in is not where you're supposed to be. So you have to ask, are you being your true and authentic self? I don't think I've ever felt normal.
Well, I will say this though. I will say this on that. We have been conditioned in America to deprive ourselves. So pleasing ourselves feel like punishment.
Yeah.
So your normal may not feel like normal because you're fighting against the idea of punishing yourself. So anytime you step outside of that box and say, no, I'm tired of punishing myself by trying to blend in, I'm ready to blend out and be me, it's going to feel wrong. It's going to feel unnatural because you're going against the grain. Here's the thing a lot of people don't listen to. There is a Hebraic, which is actually an Aramaic phrasing that says shalom. A lot of people say, oh, shalom is just a greeting, hey, goodbye. No, it actually means, hey, in peace, go in peace, be in peace, be whole and complete. So when you leave me, when you come to me, I want you to come in peace. When you leave me, I want you to leave in peace, but I want that same peace to be your house. I want that same peace to be with you everywhere you go. And the thing about it is, this was a communal greeting. It is our responsibility as a community. Yes, peace comes through self-discovery, but also peace comes by your network, and it's your network's obligation. If we talk about community, they're all supposed to greet and give and provide peace too, and that's the part people don't want to talk about. We talk about self-empowerment and things that people are supposed to do on their own. Yes, that is true, but there is an obligation to the community to also help fortify that peace.
definitely.
And peace is a practice. Say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Love you.
And that's
Love you.
Love you.
Love you too. and that's a big thing. And we talked about it before 2 weeks ago on Brother Empowerment, that, and you said it, Jay, I believe that, humans are not meant to be isolated. And that's one thing, that's one of the reasons why community is so important. That, we're not supposed to be isolated. We're supposed to be together, support one another, and to help each other heal and uplift one
Community.
another. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We're definitely supposed to do that. And is it safe to say if she needs to speak to you in more detail, she can reach out to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or reach out to her, blow her head up even more, her ego. But no, she's a good person and she will be there for you. And that's why we definitely wanted her on the show.
Yeah.
Malika, the hour is upon us.
Yeah.
Is it? No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that went fast.
We now are going into, I know you've watched our show a lot. We're now going into this part of the show where we do positive brother shout out. So would you go ahead and shout out some positive brothers, whether we know them or not? Go on and shout them out. It's important to say their name.
Okay, my first shout out is gonna go to my husband, love of my life, Melvin Robertson. He holds me down every day. My second shout out goes to Johnny Bryan up in New Jersey. He'll never see this, but that's my daddy. The men in my life currently, I want to give a shout out to Grady Bussey. He's doing big things in the community. He's got these kids, keeping them out the street, keeping them out of trouble. He's got a son going to college this upcoming year. He's a bruh. He's one of my fraternity brothers. He's doing great things. Don't do that. I want to give a shout out to Kelvin Bear Jarvey, who's out here in Southeast Raleigh doing major things. Good brother. My gosh. Let's see. Is that, do I have more time to give more shout out?
if you just said what's on your chest, you good.
Yeah. Let's see. To my brothers, my like actual physical brothers, Kareem, Kenny, Derek. I love them. I love y'all. And I think only one of them's on Facebook, but thank you to my cousins, Carrie, Roni, Delphine. Listen, y'all help shape me. Donnie, the little cousins that are doing things. My little cousin, Malcolm, that was just on TV the other day. He's making us proud. The men in my family and the men in my circle are freaking amazing.
What's up?
Awesome job.
That's great.
You probably are the first person who named the most men.
Yeah.
You probably named the most brothers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, but for real, y'all two are doing some amazing work. And I honestly don't know the full scope of what Love is a Parable has going on, but every Thursday night I see y'all out here saying the things that need to be said. And I try my best not to put my woman female touch into it because I know y'all need y'all space. So I applaud from the background in what you guys are doing, and I'm telling you, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate you. That means a lot to us. Really.
From day one, I knew that you was a spirit that we love, a soul that we could embrace. And I thank you for always dropping seeds, because I tell people a lot of times, we are seeds and harvest. Mm-hmm. We're somebody, we are somebody's seed, but we're also somebody's harvest. And so for those seeds that planted you to make you a wonderful harvest, I'm also grateful for that as well, because we've reaped the benefit of that fruit. Yeah. So thank you for being a wonderful harvest as well.
Definitely.
You go give your shout outs, bro.
Positive brothers. I mean, I pretty much, I have
Uncle Marcus.
Oh yeah, no, seriously. I mean, no. So I'm gonna, my Uncle Marcus, my Uncle Antoine, of course, my brother Jay. Because he definitely helped me find my purpose and doing good work. And feeling like I can help other brothers and I can matter in the realm of doing things and helping people. So definitely my brother Jay. My dad James Williams. All the brothers that have been special guests on Brother Empowerment before. Ian, Kerwin, Al, and any other brothers in the future that we're going to be getting on. Those are all going to be positive brothers. And also, Corey Maxwell, just all the brothers that have been involved with Brother Empowerment. And also, I always shout out all the future brothers, because you never know, we never know who we're going to run into and who's going to come into the fold. So I shout out those brothers as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to echo all of that, because there are a lot of brothers that are behind the scene, Malika, who help our Brother Empowerment cookout that we had March 24th. If that wouldn't have happened had it not been for the brothers who came together behind the scene, help coordinate that, collaborate that, donate, do whatever they need to make that a success. So Corey Maxwell was one of them with his organization, Wise Men Entertainment.
Yep.
We definitely wanted to rock the spot events with DJ, the world famous DJ Ty. We also have for the kids who provided kid support is Teens Have a Voice Too, in part, so he's talking about.
Yep.
So I thank them, and I thank a lot of the brothers that are actually having our backs out in the community that are doing positive things. You already talked about Kevin, so we definitely going to shout him out. You got True Pettigrew that is out there doing some positive things. Edward Dudley, who is out there doing positive things. Ryan Ray, who's out there doing positive things. That father who doesn't have time to go to the PTA meetings, who doesn't have time to do a lot of the sport events with their children because he's working hard, trying to be a provider, trying to take care of them, trying to do what's best for them in the house. Brother, we appreciate you. That brother that doesn't get it. If you know somebody who is going through something and need a little bit of help or need positive brothers to talk to, visit us at loveisapparable.com/brother empowerment. You can submit to us. It's confidential. Sisters, as you can see, we have several sisters who are available for you to provide support, as Malika is available, and she has a service that's dedicated to helping you embrace you, love you, not just do yoga, but come into the full connection of you. So it's so many different people that are connected that way. So reach out. The one thing that I don't want you to do is cry or feel alone. Don't suffer in silence. That is not your birthright. That is not your punishment. That is not your identity. That is not your house. We love you.
We are a community and we do love you.
We love you. We appreciate you. And you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you, Malika.
Thank you so much, Malika.
Thank you.
We love you too.
We love you, Malika.
Love you.